Okay, and we are live now. We'll wait for a few people to come on. Okay. Good evening, everybody. We are here to discuss the case of the Millbrook twins, Dannette and Jeannette Milbrook. They went missing 34 years ago from Augusta, Georgia on March 18th, 1990. Their disappearance has been a mystery that has stood for 34 years. Today, I'm here to speak with the sister of the Dannette and Jeannette, Shanta Sturgis. Shanta, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So Shante, from reading, we know your sisters have been missing for almost 34 years. What actually happened and the day that they went missing? They went missing on March 18th, 1990. How did that day start off for you and your family, and how did we get to where we are now?
Okay, so that morning we went to church.
Okay.
Um at, we was at church that day. My the pastor of the church basically gave my mom some money for us to eat lunch that day.
Okay.
And after we left church, we came home. Um my mom sent them to church's chicken. And when they came back from church's chicken, we all was sitting down eating and we was talking about going to school. So the school that they originally would have been going to would have been Joseph High School.
Okay.
But because we hadn't been too long moved to the area that we were staying at, they were still going to out of zone school, which was Lucy Lane High School.
This Lady High School was the high school the girls was going to, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically my mom didn't have any money, of course, for us to eat lunch for that day, nor did she have any money for them to be able to catch the school, well, not the school bus, but the city bus back and forth. So she told them to call my goddad. My goddad told them that he would give them some money, to catch the school bus. I mean, the city bus back and forth to school for that week.
Okay.
And they left the house and basically they made it to his house. And after they left his house is where everything went left because instead of them coming back home, they was going to different family members' houses where they went to two different family members' houses
Mm-hmm.
to ask them to walk home with them. One of them was my cousin Juanita. The other
Okay.
one was my older sister, AC Hander. And so basically, um, they made it to Juanita's house. Her mom
Okay.
wouldn't let them go with them. So they left Juanita's house and went to my older sister's house. My older sister said when they came there, they asked her, she said that she couldn't walk home with them, which we are that she hadn't been too long, had her oldest son at that time. So of course she then, wasn't up to walking with them. So it had to be probably like maybe 4:30 ish, almost 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was getting late, basically. And they left the house around maybe 2 or almost 2.
Okay.
So in between that time, I guess my mom started getting worried that they hadn't made it back home because, we don't walk that area before. So I guess she knew, the time frame, how long it would have took for them to get back home. So she started calling around to other people, like my sister and my goddad, asked him did they make it to his house, and he told her yeah. And then when she called my older sister, this is how we knew to go to the pump and shop store because my sister said yes, they came over here, mom, and they left my house walking like they was going towards the pump and shop. So by us already living by the pump and shop years ago, years prior to us moving to where we live, we already knew some of the attendants that work in the store. So the um the attendant, basically by the time we walked down there, she told my mom that they did come in the store, that what they brought, she said they didn't seem like they was worried about anything, nothing. The only thing she know is they brought what they brought. After they left the register, she had to ring up somebody else, and she said basically they was gone just like that. She don't know if they got in the car with somebody. She don't know if they went left, right, or what. And from that point on, as we know, she's the last person that seen them, and nobody seen them since.
Wow. So I got a question. By them asking people to walk them home, do you think they was a little worried?
I think so,
They just didn't want to let
because
on, right?
if they wasn't worried walking down there, and they didn't need nobody else. Because I also asked them to walk with them, even though I was 12 years old back then. I did ask to go, and they told me no. They told me that they was coming right back after they left my goddad house, and basically, so I think something happened in between there, um, and that's the reason why they was going around asking people to walk them back home or whatever. I'm not sure, and I guess we'll never know what was the purpose of them going, because we don't know where they at still to this day.
Right. And I remember before when we spoke before, the first time they got home, they said a white van was following them, right?
Yes, Jeanette told my mom that when they left churches that they thought a white van was following them. Of course, my mom, she went to the door and she looked out, but we didn't see a white van, you know. So basically, we don't know if the van was actually following them, or if the van was going the same way they was going and they thought the van was following. We just don't know. We just know what they said.
Right. So that area from the pumping shop, right? When they
Hmm.
come, okay, when they said they walked back from the pumping shop, now that area straight, narrow, is the alley there? What's right there?
Um, okay, if they had you talking about like them leaving from where we were staying at, going there?
No, leaving from the pumping shop. Like because she
Okay,
said,
leaving
yeah.
from the pump shop, it is an alley right behind the pump shop.
So do you think something could have happened behind that, or you just don't know?
I mean, it could have,
Right.
because when we was living in that area, I do know sometime before, okay, we stayed in two different houses when we stayed on 12th Street.
Okay.
So the first house that we stayed in that was by the pump shop, my older sister left home to, I guess she was going to hang out with friends or whatever, I'm not sure, but I know she was sexually assaulted in that same alley.
Oh wow. Okay. So I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah. And so during the time when the twins went missing, I'm not sure if um you know it was a somebody standing around, waiting for them. I don't know if the person that was in the van that was following them that we didn't see,
Uh,
it may be could have been a van following them. We don't know. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I just know what was told.
Right.
And
So
then
okay.
so sometime after that right there, um after we made it back home, because we walked there, we walked to the barber shop, and I'm saying, cause hello,
Yeah. I mean, I can hear you.
okay, cause somebody was calling my phone.
You all right? Good. Go
Anyway,
ahead.
I know, when we made it to the store, and after talking to the attendant, we walked back. As we was walking, I'm sorry. Why does they keep calling my phone? And I'm doing something. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens. It happens. It happens.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm not sure what transpired when they went there. When we went, back home as we was going home, we looked in, like empty houses, like different um like open space, like with tree, whole bunch of trees and stuff like that.
Hmm.
She was basically we was just looking, not knowing
Looking
if we was
everywhere.
gonna find anything or whatever. So once we made it back home, she called the police because by then it was dark then, and they still hadn't came home. And when she called the police, they basically told her that she had to wait 24 hours before she reported them missing.
24 hours. That's insane to tell anybody that. Here you have two 15-year-olds, that are not known for just, but they're known just for going to school and coming home. But to say, I
Hmm.
mean, any kid, period, 24 hours.
Yep.
24 hours is one of the most crucial hour. Like that's the most crucial hour period around that time. 24. A lot can happen in 24 hours. So that's crazy. So after they say wait 24 hours, then how did it go after that?
Okay, so after the 24 hours was up, the
Hmm.
next morning she calls them again. This time they sent someone out. Okay, the cop that came out, she gave them all the correct information, but for some miraculous reason, he wrote the information down wrong. He wrote their birthday down wrong. He wrote the spelling of their names down wrong. He wrote the name of the street that my goddad stayed on. He got that mixed up with it's a Florence and a Forest Street. My goddad stayed on Forest Street. He wrote down Florence Street.
Mm.
So um after he took all the information or whatever, he ends up giving it. I guess he ended up giving it to the investigator, but the investigator didn't come out until that next week. So the next day, which would have been the March the 19th, the regular police officer came out.
Okay.
Okay. The week after that is when the investigator came out. Okay, the investigator that came out, his name was Jim Ship. He tells my mom that he was gonna go look for the girls or whatever. He still put the information in wrong. They still had the information wrong. Their birthdays, spelling of their names. Um, what else? Yeah, basically that was it. And then after that date, we didn't hear from him again until maybe a month or so.
A month. Wow.
Okay, so after that month was up, I guess he called himself still looking for them or whatever, but you still didn't go to the people houses who you supposed to be. You didn't talk to the people that you should have been talking to. Basically, he didn't talk to my older sister, which they seen them the day they went missing. He
Right.
didn't talk to my cousin. He didn't talk to the attendant at the store. Basically, he didn't talk to nobody but my goddad. They did talk to him.
Hmm.
That's how we know that they really did make it to his house. After that, right there, um, a whole year had them passed, and he probably came to my mom's house like the end of 90. And I guess to check to see had they came home or whatever, because they still hadn't came home. But by the time April the 8th of 1991 comes, he basically came and knocked on my mom's door and told her that had he found them, that he could make them come back home because they had turned 17 years old. He also says that they had been found and he couldn't make them come back home. So it was two different things. Now I'm again like going ahead because in 2017, this is when we find this part out that he felt that they had been found. He said they had been found, but they still hadn't been found. And we know they hadn't been found. But if he said they had been found, you didn't get her address, you didn't tell her where, you didn't tell her who they were with. You ain't tell her none of that, but you're telling everybody else, like all the people who we're trying to contact to get to help us find them. You're telling them that they had been found, but in actuality they hadn't.
So
So
he said they've been found and they were not found. And this was,
right,
he said this was year 2017 or
yeah, this is when we found out that he was still telling people that they had been found, but they was never found. So from 1991, I think he closed the case out April the 8th of 1991. So the case is closed, period.
for
Nobody's looking for them.
right. The case is closed for 22 years, right?
23.
23 years, right? Okay,
Yeah,
23
the
years and
case
then
is
it's open.
closed 23 years.
Okay.
So by the case being closed 23 years, you got that whole big old open gap where 2 decades and
Then
something has
pass.
done went by and nobody's looking for them based off of what the detective shift tells them. But you told us, had you found them, you couldn't make them come back home. 1993, we found out that he calls the National Missing and Explored Children and tells them to take my sister and them out of the database. He said they
Wow.
should have never been in there because they was nothing but some unruly runaways.
And this is Detective Ship, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ship has a history of uh labeling people as runaways because there was another little girl that went missing
Right.
from Augusta, Georgia. Listen to
Yes.
this, y'all. Detective Ship also said another young lady had ran away
And
from
she
Augusta,
was,
Georgia.
yeah, she was 9 years old. Her
She was
name was
9 years old, and
Tiffany
I,
Nelson. It took him 11 days to rule this little girl case as an abduction. And I heard this out of the sheriff's mouth. So I know it is true that he said this. But
right,
2005, the little girl went missing in 1994.
right.
2005, they found her body in a shallow grave off of Highway 56.
They sure did because I remember reading. I just can't think of her name at the time, but I remember
Tiffany
reading
Nelson.
Tiffany Nelson. So look that name up, Tiffany Nelson.
Yeah,
Detective Ship also labeled Tiffany Nelson, a 9 year old at the time, as a
as a
runaway.
runaway.
But almost what? Almost 12 years later, she's found in a shallow grave.
Right.
This is why when I put in my description about the case, I said there lack of, because as y'all can see, y'all listening, this case was never investigated. It is still to this day it's not being really investigated, and it's a shame because it's been all these years. These investigators were able to go home with their family without a care in the world, and here you have
Oh, he said the reason why he can go home, and he said he was glad that he could go home because he didn't have kids that he had to go home to kill. This is what he told the Fall Line podcast detective ship. He said because he didn't even know why they even put him on missing kids cases or missing people cases. And
mm,
I was like, wow, you
yeah,
know,
that's something to say to a family that's missing
it
kids, that's
is
missing.
something to say when you supposed to help the community, you know, and it's like it took me all that time I had been calling. To my this it's so much. I done told this story so many times, you know, it's like a movie to me. It's like I'm telling somebody else's life, but it's our life, you know what I
Right.
mean? And it's like it took y'all 23 years to open this case back up. This family still calling y'all all these years, and y'all still saying y'all can't help. The only reason why this case I think got opened back up is because the sheriff that was running at the time, he was wanting to get elected.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
And who was
Because
the sheriff
now
at the time?
his Richard Roundtree,
That's the one, the sheriff now, right?
yes, he's the sheriff now.
Yeah, because
At
yeah, I
He
remember seeing
wasn't the
him.
sheriff when they first went missing, but
Okay.
when they opened the case back up in 2013, he was just being elected as sheriff. And I thought, because the sheriff that was in the seat at the time when they first went missing. It was the Caucasian guy. I was like, well, maybe, that he's a black guy. Maybe he want to help more than,
Right.
you know, this me thinking. I could be wrong, I don't know. But I was like, hey, let me try. I just happened to see him on the news and he was saying that he wanted to help the community, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, this is a good time right here for me to call. So I calls down there and sure enough, they end up calling me back. They didn't answer the first time. And Sheriff Roundtree was the one that I talked to. I talked to the person that he was running against. And he's the one that called me back and said they was going to open the case back up because they didn't like how the case was closed. They closed the case off of hearsay. Basically, somebody said they seen them. He closed the case and left it as that. 1993, you called NICMIC, which is the National Mission and Explored Children, tell them to take them out of the database. So 20 something years goes by, nobody knew. Like anything could have happened between March the 18th and 2013. They opened the case back up in September, I believe. Anything could have happened. Anything. They could have still been alive. We don't know. I mean, they
Right.
could still be alive to this day. We just don't know what happened to them. You know what I mean? And I think if they had did something then or got somebody else different, if they see that the family was still calling saying these girls out there, why not try to help? You think we calling for our help? We weren't calling for our help. We weren't just calling down there to say they was still missing if they wasn't.
Right.
I still don't get it to this day. I might have was young, been young back then, but I still know I had two siblings, and I ain't seen them since I was 12 and they was 15, and I'm 46 years old right now, and they 50? They just turned 50 this year.
Yeah, I seen the birthday celebration that you did for him.
I just hate it. I just hate the whole thing. I hate the whole thing even happened. I don't even know what else to do no more. I done been on so many platforms. I done been on the news. I done did everything that I could think of that you could do. You know,
Yeah, I
but
always think
I'm
about
not a police officer.
right. You can't investigate.
Yeah, I can't, just go out here and it be knocking on folks' doors, you know what I'm saying? I was young back then. Had I been the age I am now back then, I probably could have did all that stuff. But I was a little girl, when they first went missing. But I still remember them. I still remember everything about them. I still remember what they had on the day they walked out my mama's door.
Right. How is your mom doing?
She doing okay.
That's
She'll
good.
be, yeah.
That's good. Because I know
She
we
think
always think
about
about
them
these
every day.
cases. Yeah, we always think about these cases, and for me, I always think about the parents, because I know it takes a toll on them.
Yeah, they had done even put out, he had when I was calling down there, I don't know what the information even came from or what made them even think that, but they was telling me when I called down there to ask, for them to help, they basically was saying that my mom kids had got taken away from her. Okay. Now, mind you, it was my older sister, it's the twins, then me, then my sister Jacqueline. Then I got a sister named Jessica, a sister named Tiffany, and a sister named Cicely. It's 8 girls, 8 of us.
Uh huh.
Why would they take two and leave the rest of them?
Yes, because if they're gonna take them, they take them all.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense to me. But that's what they told me. You need to be talking to your mom because your sister, that's what they said, your sister now had been taken away from your mom. I said, that didn't make no sense. I said, how can y'all take two and not take the rest? And I was like, somebody lying. He gonna tell me he appreciate me saying his officers was liars.
Well,
I
they
said,
were.
well, I don't appreciate you trying to say my mama a liar. And I lived that. I know if they had if the defects had took my mom kids or not. They had me calling the adoption agency and everything, which I already knew, you know, but I just did it just on the screen just to get that part of the investigation that I was doing myself out the way. So
Right.
they had no recollection of none of my mom kids being taken away from her.
Basically a wild goose
So
chase, basically.
yeah, basically that's what it was. Then 1996, I happened to be sitting down looking at TV. I was looking at the news. I always look at the news ever since they had been missing. I read the newspaper, you know, all kind of newspapers. Anything that I could think that they would put an article in about somebody missing or somebody murdered or they found the body here or whatever. I try to read and I try to stay up on everything. I just be happen to be sitting down looking at the news. They had an image of a female that had been missing. I guess she had been missing for a while or whatever, and they ended up finding her, the female's body in South Carolina. The image looked like one of the twins.
I was just looking at the image before we went live, too.
So I called again, and I get shut down. They told me off rip, no, it's not her. I said, okay, left it like that. So 2017 comes, I meet Laura and Brooke of the Fall Line podcast. Okay, I tell you them the same story. They ends up calling to the Aiken County Sheriffs and they end up talking to the Aiken Coroner. So when unknown to me, the person that I saw in 1996 still hadn't been identified.
Wow. So all these years. So 11 years. Okay,
Uh,
now it's 11
yeah,
years. Now
yeah,
11 years behind this point. Okay.
exactly. So I was like, wow, they still don't know who. So, I was like, maybe it is one of them. You know what I'm saying? So it took a long time for us to get them to do the DNA comparison to the person. But I think in 2020, from listen to what I'm telling you now, from
Okay.
2013, I mean from 1996 all the way up until 2020. That's how long it took for us to find out for them to do the DNA because they just had got DNA from my mom in 2013. So any Jane Does that was going from 1990 all the way up, they wouldn't be able to compare it to nothing because they still hadn't got my mom DNA, my older sister DNA. They hadn't got that until 2013. So what
Wow.
if it was a Jane Doe out here that was them? And I just found this out today that any Jane Does that was going around back then, they probably don't even have anything in the database that they could compare to my mom, but they finally did it for that Jane Doe that they had in Aiken, South Carolina. They told us that it wasn't now one of them, but I think they only did the DNA comparison. Well, I guess if they'd used my mom DNA,
Mm.
I guess that's how they would determine that it was neither twin. But I swear to you, if you look at it and you look at her, it looks just like her.
I saw that, and I remember you told me that they should have tested both twins because they're not
Yeah,
identical. They're fraternal twins, so they
exactly.
may have two different blood types.
Exactly. So I don't know.
That's a whole like question and answer by itself too. Because say if they did the DNA on both girls, you feel me? And it
Right.
like you said, cause I looked at it and looking at Jeanette's picture
Yeah.
and looking at the Jane Doe. This picture right here, y'all. This Jane Doe that they found in South Carolina looked exactly. You would think that it was her sister. So I think they should retest that too.
I
Okay.
really do too. I was just talking about it today.
Right.
I was talking about it today because it just something in me just because like it's 34 years and y'all ain't found nothing.
Nothing.
No bodies, no nothing, no clothes, something. that could tell us, what happened to them. It's just like they vanished into thin air, and we know that's not possible.
And where does the investigation stand now? Like, are they actually investigating the case?
I have no clue.
Because it just doesn't seem like it. You like you said, you hear
Yeah,
updates
because
or
they don't
something.
call us, they
You have
don't
not heard
contact
anything.
us. No, none of that. That's why I was talking to someone today, and I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna call down there because they finna do a new sheriff election again."
Well,
So
hopefully
the
this
guy
sheriff.
that's running, I said, I'm gonna call down there and see if I can get him somebody to do something. I know it's gonna take a lot, but I done seen plenty of cases where it be 40 years later and they solve.
Yes,
You
yes.
know what I mean?
I'm glad you
So
feel that way. I'm glad you don't give up. I'm glad you feel that way
and
because
I'm trying not to, but it's hard, and you got to go every day without knowing what happened to them, and it's like I just feel bad because I've been trying for so long. I tried before I even did a podcast, anything. Anybody that I come in contact with that I feel could be of some kind of help, I reach out to them. I talk to them about it, like people that I work with. Because you never know who.
right, that's
So
true.
I always talk about them. I always try to keep their name out there. You know, a lot of this when it never happened that's going on now hadn't been for the Fall Line podcast. I can't
Yeah,
say that,
they're
but
good. They're very
yeah,
good.
they did a lot, to help me and my mom now or whatever. But I wish it was something else. I don't know. I ain't giving up hope. I
Right,
never do that. I know God, He do things on His time. So I
right,
stay prayed up about it. And
right,
one day, I'm hoping that they can find them.
right. So
Whether, it's for the good or bad, we just need to know. That's the worstest thing for your child to walk out the door and you don't know if they dead or alive.
right, and not knowing is the
And
worst part.
yeah, it ain't one, it's two of them,
Two
you
children.
know.
Yes.
And then they got a brother that they don't even know. My
Mm.
mom had my brother um after they went missing. They
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they don't even know they got a brother. He 33.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, question. Now, their dad. I know when I was watching, the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
When did the rumors with him start coming up? When did y'all first started hearing the rumors about the dad and if he may have something to do with the disappearance?
Here we thought that from off the rip though, to be
Okay, I'm a
honest
rip.
with you.
Okay,
Because basically, if your child go missing and even though you and the dad are not together, you're gonna call and be like your child missing, you expect for them to have some kind of reaction. Oh my God, let me do this or do that to help try to find them. He didn't want nothing to do with it. He told my mom to leave them out there, that they probably were with some man. Just leave them alone. He never wanted to look for them. So for a long time, we thought that he probably knew where they was at or whatever the case may be. And then years later, um, he ends up having some dealings with these guys, and he helped these guys hide a body. Okay. He goes to jail with these guys. So when I met Brooke and Laura of the Fall Line, they end up contacting some of these guys and come to find out the guys, one of the guys wrote them back and basically said that their dad was on drugs and that he was allowing drug dealers to sell drugs out their house. And they had some kind of party there. And my sister them was supposed to been over there, and that one of the guys tried to sexually assault her, and the other twin tried to help her, and he's supposed to been hit her some kind of way in her head, hit the table, and basically she passed away. And he said the other twin, he figured that she was dead too, because after that day that he didn't see him no more.
So he said he figured that they were dead because he didn't see them anymore. So
Yeah, but he know for sure he said he know for sure one of the twins was dead that night. But the other twin, he said he don't know if she was dead or not, but he figured that she was because after that night of the party or whatever, that he didn't see her anymore either.
yeah, that sounds. I don't know. So I mean, what were your
But
feelings on?
this the thing right here. Okay, so
Okay,
by him saying all that, right? The part about the drugs, I don't believe
right.
because my sister and them were them type of girls. My sister and them didn't do drugs. They didn't drink none of that stuff. They weren't but 15 years old. I know it. Times have changed now. You probably find some 15-year-olds that do that type of stuff now, but back then they didn't. My Jeanette was always she loved animals, kittens, cats was her favorite animal. That's all she do is sit at home. She had a cat named Jennifer. Dannette, same thing. They just sit around. We listen to the radio, sit on the porch or whatever, but barely even went in the place. If they did, we was always together. You know what I mean? So it's not like they was party girls for him to say the stuff that he was saying. Now, if it happened, like I said, it was forced on them to do. But I just don't believe that part about the drugs. Now, the other part about the sexual assault, it could have been, you know what I'm saying? It might not have been. But once Richmond County was told this, they said they was gonna do their own little investigation. The guy's name that was mentioned in it, they said the reason why the story wasn't credible is because one of them ended up in a wheelchair, was in a wheelchair at the time that they're saying that this supposed to been happening, which that don't make sense to me. Anyway, I end up talking. They called my mom and told her after the finding of their investigation, they was gonna close that part of the case out because they just didn't believe it. They say the guy that was telling the story, he just wanted something out of it, blah blah blah. So I end up calling down there to the sheriff department to talk to the guy myself and ask him why is he closing the case out. I said, y'all got my mom upset all over again. I said she been told so many years, 20 something years, y'all saying that they can't help her, and now that they done open the case back up, it feels like we just back in 1990. So you telling me y'all ain't gonna do nothing? And then that's when he said that he feel that the story wasn't credible, that the guy probably just wanted to get out of prison or whatever the case may be. And he said that basically if that the story was true,
Hmm.
but it wasn't my sister and them that it happened to.
Okay, so who did it happen to?
So who did it happen to? I asked the same thing. Guess what he told me? They can't give me that information because it's still under investigation.
That's because they don't know themselves. That's why.
Exactly.
So, like, even going forward, like the dad is still like, even after he doesn't want anything. And I know you got an older sister, right? And I know they
Yeah,
were kind of close.
she passed away on the twins' birthday in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. On
Oh,
their birthday. Ain't that
on their
something?
birthday.
Yeah.
Wow. How was her relationship with with dad?
Now she had a good relationship with him. And that's the thing. When they first start questioning, want to question the dad about it, they asked her because my mom, really don't talk to him, but they know she talked to him. My sister did. So she calls and talk to him every day. They talk all the time. So when they put the new investigator that they had over, which her name was Ashley Pletcher, they put her over the case. And when she went to go talk to him, she told my older sister told her that their dad told her to tell them that he was dead. So he
Wow.
wouldn't have to talk to the police at all.
So he definitely was hiding
So
something.
yeah, so from the time they went missing all the way up until 20 something, 2000 and what 13 when they
Yeah.
put her over the case. He didn't want to have nothing to do with it still, because then you telling them to tell that you dead instead of trying to get them some kind of information or talk to them about something. But I ain't gonna sit here and say Ashley wasn't a good investigator, because at one point she was the only one the investigator that they ever put over the case that would call and check on us, see how we are doing, see had we heard anything, and then miraculously out the blue, I hadn't heard from her. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, well, let me call her. So I called, and guess what? It takes her off the case.
You
Why?
know what's you know what's crazy? Someone commented when I first ran a story on Facebook about your sisters. Someone commented in the comments that their mother was on this case and they took her off. So that might have been her daughter.
Could
It was
be, and
on
they
one of the
took her off.
posts, and she said,
Yeah.
"Yeah." She said her mom. She said the case broke her heart. She said she was on it, but then like you said, miraculously
Yeah, she
they
she
took her off the
was.
case.
She hated that. I don't know what took place down there between, the sheriff department and her, whatever. But I just know they took her off the case. And once they took her off the case, she went to another police department. So she's still in law enforcement, but she
Right,
can't do nothing to help us because she in the nurse jurisdiction, and
right.
this is Richmond County.
Okay,
But
so
she
their
did try,
right.
you
So
know.
their father is now passed away. Right. When did he
Yeah.
pass away?
He passed away in 2021.
Now has before he passed away, did
No,
he
they didn't talk
nothing?
to him. Nothing. They couldn't talk to him. You know why? Yeah, they waited too long. You waited 20 something years to try to talk to this man. And by then he claimed he got dementia. Well, he did have it, But before he passed, I want to say maybe 20 2018, maybe somewhere between 2018, 2017, somewhere between 2017 and 2018. He was at the nursing home. Before he got to the nursing home, we end up seeing him on the news again. This time it was because one of the guys that's in prison that supposed to had something to do with my sister and them being murdered. His mom was my sister and them dad caretaker.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So by her being his caretaker for years, because my mom always was trying to figure out what relationship did this lady have with him, because him and her didn't have they wasn't together. They wasn't dating or anything like that, but the lady was over his funds, like his social security or whatever. And by her being over the social security, I guess he felt she wasn't doing right, so he asked my mom to be over his money for him, but my mom wouldn't do it. So the lady continued, and then some kind of way, um, I guess his mental state had started deteriorating or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were staying in a house over here off of down here in Augusta off Milledgeville Road. He basically was being neglected. They found him outside naked or whatever, and they had to take him to the hospital. When we seen it, we goes up there to the hospital to see him. Okay, we gets up there. He's talking fine at first, but as soon as we ask him anything about the twins, it's basically like, how um you start like you in how you pronounce it, encourage, like,
And carrot. What's that
yeah.
word?
So basically, he was acting like he didn't um he didn't know nothing. Like,
Okay.
you get what I'm saying? But soon as you say something about, say they asked him, do he want something to eat or something like that, or something that happened back in the day that he would remember,
Mm-hmm.
because his niece was up there. So basically, when we asked him something about the twins, it's all this stuff here, and when the one of the podcasters asked him, did he know what happened to them? And he said, yeah, they did. Then he turned around a little while after that. I was like, when I heard it, I said, hold up. Did he just say they was dead? And she was like, yeah. So she started questioning him more and more and more. And basically, he was like, no, I don't know what they at. She said, you
No,
just
that
said
first
that
answer, that
first.
first
Yeah,
answer, that first answer, him saying he was telling the truth, and then he was trying to play mind games.
yeah. That's
But I think
exactly
y'all
what
had
he was
already
doing.
you already had that figured out by him uh, dodging around the questions.
Yeah, he was. He was just every time you say mention their name, he'll try to go over it, act like he didn't hear you. Basically like like something wrong with him. And then after a while, the nurse ended up coming in there, but we tried to get more out of them because she asked them if they dead, if they deceased, where are they body? His name was John Milbrook. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
where they body would be at? Is it in the country? Is it in the city? I mean, where could it be? Where would they be buried at, John? And then he was like, I don't know. I don't know what happened to them girls. That's what they say, them girls. Like they're not his
Basically
children.
saying, I don't know them, I don't know who they is, I want to associate with it, basically.
Yeah,
And that's just how it was from the beginning to the end, to the day he died. He
yeah.
ruthlessly,
Basically.
basically, and that's crazy because I got kids myself. So if anything
Yeah.
happened to them, I'm worried and all that. So
Yeah, I don't care what time or what year it was or none of that. If they're my children, they're my children. I'm gonna love my children, and I'm gonna want to know where my children at all times.
at all times, yes.
He didn't want to know nothing. He said, leave them out there.
Now, before they went missing, did he have any type of relationship with them? Did they see
I
him?
ain't gonna say not necessarily he seen them, but the only reason why he would see them because my mom would go down there to visit his mom
Ah,
to take
okay.
the
So he
girls
knew of
down
his
there.
kids.
He would take all of us down there pretty much. We'd go down there to visit. Other than that, no, they ain't really had no relationship with him like that.
So,
But my older sister, she's about the only one that was like really had a relationship. She was still talking to him up until she passed.
so she passed before him, right?
Yeah, she passed before him.
Oh wow! And it's yeah, darn. So she would. You think if she would have lived longer, she probably could have got something out of him?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know why I asked that question. It just popped in my head. I'm just like, cause I'm pretty sure like she tried to get some information out of him. You know.
She probably did try to talk to him, but when a person got it instilled that they gonna keep something up under the hush hush and they ain't gonna tell nobody, she probably couldn't even get it out of him. So
Right.
it's just like he did not want to tell nothing. He didn't want to talk about nothing. They did try to go talk to him when he was at the nursing home though, but by then it was too late. Hell, he barely could even
Talk or
hold his
anything.
head up. He barely could
Right.
even talk or say anything. Because we went there, even though my mom and him didn't have no relationship or nothing like that anymore, she still, because they were her kids' dad, she still went out there to go let him know that my older sister had passed away. And by the time we got there to go do that, yeah, he was barely, being able to stand then. I think he was in a wheelchair by then. He barely could
Wow.
do anything. But
Right.
they still don't say between them 20 something years that the police can do more about trying to get information out of them. They could have been talked to them, but they did.
Right. It's a lot they could have done in the beginning to the middle,
Yeah.
and I mean, honestly,
And I
our
really
time.
think
Right.
if they had a did more, if they had somebody that was in there that really had a heart, that really cared about people being missing, no matter if you feel they was gonna run away, and they was gonna do it again. You find them, they was gonna run away, and they was gonna do it again. It doesn't matter. Children are children, and he should have did more than what he done.
I'm
Had
glad
he
you said
did
that.
that, had he did that, I think even though it might be, even though they might be deceased, just say they are, you know, we'd rather know that than to not know nothing.
Right,
And we don't know nothing. And it's 34 years now.
right. And
And
I'm glad you made that statement about if they run away, you still look for them because
yeah, because they were still all these, I'm not racist. I love everybody, but I just got to call it how I see it, between the time my sister and them went missing all the way up until now, it's a guy, he went to school with me. He went missing sometime like in the 90s. And they kept him on the news. They only put my sister and them on the news
mm, one
one
time,
time.
one time in 34 years. You hear that,
Well,
viewers?
they've been on the news lately from 1990 all the way up to 2013.
Okay, that's 23 years.
You won't see nothing about my sister and them on the news. No, none of that. No newspapers, nothing. No articles, nothing. From 2013 all the way up until now, you'll start seeing news articles and like video clips of me
Hmm.
talking on different podcasts and stuff like that. It didn't really start. I'm gonna be honest, it didn't really start until 2017. Put it like that. Even though the case was opened up in 2013,
Hmm.
2017 is when everything went. You know, like basically people started knowing.
Yeah, because I
The
found it
case
like
just
two.
got big. It just got bigger
Okay.
in the public's eye, so the public would know. And once the public start hearing about it and hearing how they did my family, the police department, Richmond County, however you want to call them, they left my sister and them out there, and I just think that they didn't care.
I think so too. I really think so too. Because when you look at this case, it's crystal clear from the beginning. Like I said, they didn't investigate.
Mhm.
I don't think they ever investigated.
It
Like you said,
really
they
is.
just figured these girls were runaways and they would
Yeah,
come back home
because
and
that's what he said. He said it was unruly runaways. They never been in trouble with the law. My sister probably got in a fight maybe twice
right.
that I know of. One at the bus stop, one at school. One of them was the principal niece of one of the schools that she went to. They both went to, because eventually, sometime in between there, before they went to Laney, they had to separate them from school. So Dannette went to Abraham Mary, and Jeanette was still going to East Augusta Middle School. And then after a while, they ended up back together, and both of them was at Lucy High School. And once
Okay.
we moved from the Lane Walk and 12th Street area, and we moved to Jenny's Homes over there on Cooney Circle, they still wanted to go to Lane,
Right.
but they weren't no bad girls. I can honestly say that my mom never had no kind of issues with them. Even if they wanted to go somewhere, she allowed us to go like to skate range, like to the movies. If she go with us, we was with somebody that that was up, that would watch us to make sure we was okay or whatever the case may be. But she did everything she could. She was a single mom, basically raising 8 girls, and like three of them was real young. They probably wouldn't even remember them like that, but I, I do. I slept with them. Yeah, we took baths together. Played radio, got ready for school in the mornings together, even though they was older than me. You know, we all slept in the same room together. They I don't know. I don't even know how my life would have turned out had they still been here. They don't even
Right.
know I got kids. They don't know nothing. We don't know nothing. And
Right.
I just think it's sad. I mean, it's sad. My family just, I don't know.
I think about y'all all the time. When I'm posting these missing persons cases, or I come across the case or I post it, and it'd be like people will be reading the story, and they just be like, "Wow." And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, this all these stuff really happened in this case. And I
Hmm.
said, what I wrote in this little here is just a little bit of the cake. To really really get everything. I told them I would have to bring you on. So that's why like I was like when the followers get like bigger, that's why I like to bring you back because it might be somebody that hasn't heard the case, or it may like each time it may be something different. I'm hoping like
Hmm.
going forward that honestly, because I really think that one day, you guys will get answers in your sister's case. I just hope
I'm
that it's
hoping
soon.
so. I'm
34
hoping
years is a
so.
long time. Like you
It
said,
is.
that's three
Even when
decades.
even when it came down to us finding out about the serial killer, the serial killer that was here, his name was Joseph Patrick Washington.
Right, Joseph Patrick Washington. I remember him. Now he was killing in twos, right?
Yeah,
He was killing in
ones,
twos.
twos, however he can do it. And two of his victims he picked up from in the area where my sister and them went missing. I do know that part.
So you mean to tell me after he was killing people, they didn't patrol that area or anything like that? No patrols. So
I'm gonna assume not, because
right.
I promise you, we didn't even know nothing about him at all until the Fall Line podcast. If they hadn't told me anything about him, I would have never knew that he was existed.
And he's dead too, right?
Yeah, he did. He died in 1999.
And they never got a chance to question him.
Nope.
Wow.
Didn't question him. They didn't even. I don't even know if they still got any of the evidence that they had against him. I don't know if they keep it or how they do it, if they destroyed or whatever. But they wouldn't compare none of it to my sister now. And I asked why, and they said because they didn't fit his description of the victims that he had. But this is my thing. How can you say that when y'all sat right here and said that all his victims that he murdered and that he sexually assaulted or aggravated assault against would look just like my sister and them but older with short hair? And he said the reason why he was doing what he was doing is because a female that he was dating gave him HIV, AIDS, or however it would go. And that's why he was going around killing the women that he would kill. He would shoot them first, then rape them and leave them out there to die.
Now, was all his victims found? Or at least,
Um,
so I would say.
well, all of his victims was found that I know of. A couple of them that was in Carolina that they thought he did. They couldn't basically. They think he did it, but they couldn't convict him of it.
They can't tie him to him,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Okay.
So, um, how he ended up getting caught, two different women that he did this to was able to describe the same car. He had a yellow Pinto, and he kidnapped. Like I said, he would shoot them first. So I guess it would paralyze their bodies or whatever,
Right.
and then he would rape them. He did it out there at his job and everything. So when you hear about the Brickyard Pond, he worked it out there at a company called the Brickyard. He would transport them in either his car or maybe even the van that he drove for the company that he worked for.
Isn't that one of the places I think you said you wouldn't mind to have searched?
Yeah,
Was to
but
bring
they told me I asked them could they search, and they told me by it being so big that they couldn't search, they would have to have a specific spot in their area for them to go out there and search. So
that's a
that
lie.
part is out the question.
That's a lie because they could have got the manpower along with volunteers, and they could have searched that place. Anything's searchable. Like that's like I tell people
Yeah,
all the
they say
time
they
when
want to do it because a part of that place, a part of it over there is by a place called Molly Pond Road, and it's
okay,
got like these two big old ponds over there, and it's a place called Lovers Lane. He used that area also to for his victims or whatever. So anything in that area is like nothing but wood and water, and you know, and basically they say it goes miles and miles on out, and they tell me that's why they're saying it's so big, too big for them to even search. They would have to have a Pacific area out
a
there.
Pacific area. Okay, so it's really big. Okay,
Yeah,
I have to look that up when I'm offline to see what they're talking about.
yeah. So we did. I frequently ride past it all the time, and I always come across my mind. What if they were out there? Even if they were out there, you know how many alligators and stuff out there. You know,
Right, right, yeah, right, right,
all
right,
that stuff come across your mind. What if they was out there? They wouldn't be able to find nothing.
right.
It been so long.
Yeah, it has. This is truly a miscarriage of justice. 34 years is a long time.
Yeah. It
And
took
and I
it
really
took this
hope. I mean,
long. I
another thing too. I
hate it.
hope bigger publications pick this up. Because everybody should know about the Millbrook Twins.
Yeah, they
This is
should. They should know
I'm telling
how.
you, this case stays on my mind all the
Yeah,
time. It's
yeah.
and I think a lot of people think that
And then there's a lot of cases like this that I have seen, even though it's not twins. You know, Richmond County is about the only police department that I know of that don't want to really get involved in a case when this is your jurisdiction. Why won't you get involved in this? But they'll get involved if it's another case with somebody that's outside of here, and then they bringing it over in Augusta or Richmond County or however you want to. They get involved in, but this is y'all case, and y'all barely even saying anything about it.
I think a part of it has to do
They
with
they never even did a what you call that where the police have the cameras and stuff. What you call that have never done that. They have never got in front of cameras and mentioned my sister and them name or said
press
nothing.
conference,
Yeah,
press conference.
yes, they never done that.
They never done a press conference for them at all. You know what? Because
Period.
part of it, because you know what, they probably feel really, really stupid. Or they
A lot
probably
of
feel like
people
because they
a
should be
lot of people
embarrassed.
saying that.
They should be embarrassed.
Yeah, a
They
lot
really
of
should
people.
be embarrassed. And eventually, it's all gonna come out. The investigation, how they did the investigation, and how they done the whole case,
Yeah.
and somebody should be held accountable. Yeah, honestly, ask me.
Hmm.
I don't see how you just don't investigate this case. This is a big case.
Yeah, right now to this day, I still don't know if they got somebody else over. They done changed the people so many times. After since they've been open in 2013, we probably had like 5 different people over the case, and nobody's done nothing. Neither one of them. Nobody. But Ashley, she probably about the only person that tried to do something, but they took her off the case for whatever reason. And from that point on, I really don't know who. So they put a guy named Lucas Grant over it. And this was during the time where they did the documentary. I don't know if they just did it because of the documentary or what, but he was over. He said he was gonna try to do everything he could to help, and it wasn't gonna be like the other investigators before him and da da da. And still to this day,
Yeah, it's
it's
the
still the
same
same.
same thing.
Yes. I don't understand it, y'all. I just really don't. I don't get it at all.
Me
I
either.
don't
Trust
even
me, I
know
don't.
what to do.
I don't either.
I,
I don't
you
either.
know, I get tired. I had to start again, like how my mama was back in 1990, when and the years after that, trying to get them to help her, and that's how I've been feeling. You do all you can. You call, you talk to this person. You might get one person that want to help, and then boom, out the blue, they can't do nothing to help you no more because of. In my case, they took her off the case. In my mama case, they just want to do nothing. Period. We wrote all kind of people. Um, Oprah Winfrey, we wrote her trying to get her to help. We wrote I think Sally Jessy Raphael back then. I don't know if people know who that is. Montel Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mama even contacted John Walsh, and he even said he couldn't do nothing to help because the police department in our hometown had to get him involved. So that's what everybody
Oh,
kept saying.
John, no, he could have helped out. He could have helped out.
Yeah, he could have, but he said
Because
no.
he's a father himself. He's a
Exactly.
father himself. His son Adam.
Yes.
You know that
Yes.
alone should have
And
been
that's
like,
the
hey, you
reason
know,
why
I'm a
my
father
mama,
myself. Yeah, he should. That alone should have. He, John. Yeah, John. Shame on you,
yeah,
John
that's why
Walsh.
my mom would feel confident in, contacting him because he was going through something similar to where he was going through the same thing at the time until, they found his son murdered, but he still had a child that was missing, you know what I mean? And she got two that's missing, and nobody would help her. So she figured, because he was going through what he was going through, that he would, but he wouldn't. And he said that because the police department wouldn't get him involved, there's nothing he could do.
This is
I think he
crazy.
was doing unsolved mysteries or something like that back then.
America's Most Wanted. I think America's Most
Yeah,
Wanted. He was
American
doing.
Most Wanted. Yeah,
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 he could have put them on there.
yeah. He could have, but nope. Nobody want help. I just don't get it. I'm 46 years old and I just don't understand. I know one of social media or nothing like that because the cases that I see now, if it don't be for the audience pushing the issue, some of these police departments won't probably won't do nothing to help these missing people.
And you're not lying. Because a lot of the social media work has led to a lot of
Yes,
things. I
yes,
know
it
me.
has.
I know us locally. We're locally, and we put out a lot of people on here too, and we found a lot of people too. I never kept track of it though. I just they found like I said, I didn't hear about your sister's case till around 2 3 years ago. Because like you said, social media. Had social media been popular back then, it probably be more well
Yeah,
known.
oh
But
yeah, we'd know something by
yeah,
then.
you
We
knew something.
definitely
But
would have known something because
a lot of these cases
they
I've
don't they
seen,
don't let up. Believe me, they don't let up. They gonna keep on and pushing and pushing and pushing, and law enforcement ain't gonna have no choice but to do something.
and that's what the whole goal is. That's why I say let me
Yeah.
bring her back, keep bringing her back, because I don't care if we gotta tell the story. I know sometimes because I'm thinking about it. I said I know she probably tired of well not tired, but I know she probably told the story 1,000 times.
Mhm.
I done gone
I
before
have, and
even
I
before
tell it 1,000 more times if it's gonna
right
help
and
bring my sister and them home.
I know that's right. I know that's right. I love to hear that determination to not give it up because I've seen some people that just give up on cases and they're like it's been so long. I'm like don't
And
give up
that's
the
why
hope.
I feel bad, even though I've done all I have been doing, I still feel bad because we still ain't got nowhere. That's how I feel. We ain't
But you
got
know what?
nowhere.
The key part is that people know that you have been doing something. I
Yeah.
know you've been doing something. The Fall Line podcast we took to them. They know you've been doing something, and even now the viewers that are viewing this now they seen and they heard everything that you're doing. So it's not like your time is wasted. I know you haven't found your sisters yet, but the fact that you continue to push and get up every day and still live your life and still look for your sisters, that says a whole lot. That says a
Mhm.
whole lot. As a sister, it just shows that you're not giving up on them, and I'm glad to hear that. Like I'll say it 1,000 times. That word, not
Mhm.
don't give up, is Don't give up.
I
You know,
ain't gonna
you
never
just you
give
never
up.
know.
I'm gonna keep pushing, but you know, it's just hard. Not, it's hard, but you got to. You, I feel like I be beating myself up, even though I know I've been doing all I could. It's still, I still feel bad because my mom, you know, she ain't getting no older, and she still don't know what they my sisters, but them her daughters.
Right.
And you got
It's a
to
total
live
different
every
thing.
day.
Yeah.
You done live every day of your life since they been gone, not knowing what happened to them. I know she think about them every day.
Right.
She dream about them. You know, they'll never be good dreams, but you know,
How old's your mom now?
she'll be 70 December. No, she just turned 7.
Just
I
turned
think.
70.
Yeah,
Okay.
she turned 70 in December.
That's a strong
So
woman. You know.
she'll be 71
That's a strong
December
woman. I'm telling you.
23rd.
I've
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of
yeah.
people
The
who
strongest
lost their
woman I know, 'cause
yeah
baby, she done
yeah
went through something. And first you lost your oldest, your 2 daughters. You don't know what happened to them. Then you lost your oldest daughter. Then, you know, she lost her mom and then her brothers. And, you know, it just, the list goes on and on. It's just like nobody's is here to see the day that we do find out what happened to them. Everybody just passing away. I just don't want that for her. I want her to be able to be here to see the day that they are found, even if they're
right
not alive. You know what I'm saying? Long as she know, long as she got peace, knowing that hey, they found them and this is what's going on. But right now, she just been going on and on, not knowing. And I know if it's hard for me, I know it's hard for her.
right.
I know it's hard for her. I got other siblings, my other siblings, I don't know how they feel, because they was little kids, they know they got the twins missing. They know they got siblings missing or whatever. But it's like for you to be really close to somebody and then just out of the thin now they just gone and you don't know nothing. What we supposed to do, you feel bad because you feel like you just done went on with your life and they probably was scared, I don't know. They probably was scared out there.
That's how I think with my
Anything could have
brothers.
happened to them.
Yeah, I think about my brothers the same way because I had two brothers murdered 4.5 years apart. So a lot of times I think like that. I think about them and think
Yeah,
what how things could have been.
right.
It's unfortunate, but it's
Hmm.
just life and that's something we got to live, and we ain't got no control of it. We all got a number. We just don't know when.
I'm telling you, it's just awful. It's awful. And then I got kids, and my kids always be like, "Mom, you just too overprotective. Every time you don't want us to do this, you don't want us to do that." And I'm scared. I don't want to be one of them mothers. You leave out the door and then I don't see you no more.
And see, they don't another thing they don't understand either. A situation like this will make you be
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. And
This.
that's
I
what
mean,
I
the people.
told them because I done told them the stories of how it happened and stuff like that. But see, they don't. The way they think now, they be like, "Oh, ain't nothing gonna happen." I'm quite sure they was thinking the same thing. And now look, that could have been me. The twins could have been me. I could have been one of the ones that they couldn't find me.
Hmm.
Because I was talking about going with them. I could have been one of those ones. I probably wouldn't be sitting here today talking to y'all now had I went with them.
Right.
But they
I,
didn't
I
let me go.
yeah. I wanted to ask you that question, but you answered it. Yeah. Some questions just like nah, but I'm glad you answered that. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but no,
it's awful.
the main goal is like you said, bringing them home,
Yeah,
finding out what happened to them. That's the
yeah,
main thing. That's the main thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have definitely enjoyed our conversation this evening. Every time we talk, we always talk for an hour or more.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said,
I'm
this
okay with it. You
me too.
know.
This story, I'm telling you, I can. It's like I can listen to this story 1,000 times, and I always listen to our first interview we did on the podcast. I
Yeah.
think I probably listened to that probably I think at least 50 times. You know, because like I said, the
Mm.
case it still fascinates me, and I always want to see closure with it. I like just like a lot of these other cases, I want to see closure with it. You know, I like going after the cold cases, the cases that people have forgotten. You know, people
Mhm.
don't seem to care about. You know, those are the type of cases that I like posting and talking about because those people didn't have a voice. So I want to be a part of the voice. You know, now back
Yeah.
then, even going forward. You know, to help the families to get closure or whatever I can do. You know, to bring them a step
Mhm.
closer to because I'm not even gonna say closure, some answers because we know
Right.
no matter what, whether it's a missing person case or a murder case, there's never no
Yeah.
closure. It's just
It's
you
true.
heal, you move on with your life, and you hope things get better.
Yeah. But you never forget them.
You
'Cause
never forget them. Yeah,
I
the
still have.
memory. That's what the
Yeah.
pictures are for. You know, the
Yeah.
pictures of the memories forever. You know,
That's right.
the memories forever, and it like I said, it hits different when it's a sibling that you grow up with. See, my
Mhm.
siblings, we didn't grow up together, but we were tight. But I know my cousins, we grew up together, and we were like brother and sister. So I
Yeah.
know how it is growing up with somebody and then you losing somebody. I lost a
Right.
cousin a couple of years ago. We were real close, and then out of nowhere something happened, and she's gone. So,
Right.
but like I said, the memories last forever.
Mhm.
Yes. Is there anything else you and then you want to say to everybody and like a message that you may have, what you want to see going forward?
Mm, not really. I mean, just keep my family in prayer. Maybe
Right.
one day, you know, God might reveal what happened to him. I don't know.
We gonna keep praying. We gonna keep praying, and
Yeah.
hopefully that one day that we know what happened.
Yeah. Just God bless everybody. Thank them for listening. And I'm
Yes, and we gonna
sorry
re and we
I
gonna
ain't got
re-air
nothing
this too.
different to tell.
It's gonna
I've been
re-air again at,
telling
at 12. We gonna play this again at 12. We're gonna pre-record it. Shante, as always, thank you for coming through, telling your story once again. I know you told it 1,000 times, but thank you for telling it the 1,000th time.
yes, sir.
And if need be, we bring you back. You may have to tell it again. But I enjoy
Yeah, that's fine.
bringing you
If they
here.
want to ask questions or anything, they can ask me. I don't
All right,
mind.
y'all want to have any questions? You can put them in the comments. She said any questions you want to ask, she'll answer. I see some of the comments. I'm truly sorry for your prayers. Sending prayers your way. The story breaks my heart and infuriates me. Yeah, it's a lot of comments.
Yep.
This
I tell
happened.
you what, if this ever happened to anybody out there, make sure you keep pushing at the police department. Make sure they listen at you. Cause had I been older back then, they would have had to listen at me. You know, I really can't recall how well my mom was actually, cause she was distraught when something like that happened to you. You don't think right. You be thinking the worst, and then you probably ain't did what you thought you should have done back then, or whatever the case may be. But just don't give up, or just keep pushing, keep fighting, and eventually somebody out there gonna listen,
and they gonna hear you.
and they gonna hear exactly what you saying. You know, and maybe you'll find some a police investigator or whoever, somebody with a heart that really care and really care about his community or her community or whatever, and they will help to look for your loved one. But don't let them tell y'all that bull crap about waiting on 24 hours, because between them 24 hours anything could have took place then.
It sure coulda. A lot happens in 24 hours. The
Yeah.
24 hours is the most important hours.
And our 24 hours done lasted 34 years.
24. Say that again. Her 24 hours have lasted for 34 years.
Yeah. 24 hours lasted 34 years.
34 years is a long time.
Hmm.
Dannette and Jeannette Milbrook went missing from Augusta, Georgia on March 18th, 1990, 34 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shanta, thank you so much for coming through again, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a
Yeah.
good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.